this particular episode had so many twists and turns. From the beginning, we have Danny pretending to be a different character in order to get to know George. He pretends to be a character called Zayn, so he meets up with George and they actually become friends. Now, Danny's mission is to get into Danny's mission is to get to know George, so that George can invite him in the house and he can look around and see how many things can be stolen from George's and Amy's house, so that he gets revenge because of what Amy did to him in the previous episodes. Because he believes that Amy is a fraud. He does not believe that Amy is what she claims to be. So he wants to actually steal from her. They want to steal her. There are more other reasons. I don't want to spoil it. But now Isaac is mad because it was because Paul and Danny made him go to Las Vegas, which broke. I think he was on parole. So when he broke it, now he's under house arrest. He cannot do anything, so he gets two more friends to live with them. That's Bobby and Michael, and he puts them within his company, his construction company. Now we get to see, well, Isaac, for me, he's now more of a pimp. He behaves like a pimp because he actually slaps Danny. So for me, we get to see the darker side of Isaac. Isaac is unstable. Isaac is not a good person. Let me just put it this way, because he treats Danny like a hoe and he behaves like a pimp. Let me just put it that way. So Danny is pissed off with him, and they decide during one of the part of where they go to repair the church, he now begins to put Bobby and Michael against Isaac. He starts to seep into their life and try to destroy that relationship by bringing up the idea that they should go and steal from George. So they come up with a plan, now that George and Danny are friends, because George does not know Danny is Danny, because Danny pretended to be Zayn. So now, because they are buddies, he knows that the house has artworks. So he goes in and does something to the bathroom so that now they can call in plumbers, which is Danny and Michael, and when they come in, they can do whatever they wanted to do, which is maybe steal 1 or 2, 3 artworks. That does not go well. Why? Because Danny, now talking to George, discovers that George is actually an interesting person. He's not a malicious individual. He's cooler than Amy. So he calls off the mission, and the two are not amused. They're not happy. So let's pause there. Let's go back to Amy. Our friend Amy and Paul actually eventually have sex, and unfortunately, Fumi, George's mother, kind of finds out. It was not clear. Kind of finds out before something else happens. And we get to see the repercussions of Amy's decision to actually sleep with Paul, because that actually something else happens that breaks their relationship, and now we start seeing her slowly break apart. Because there's a moment that she's making up the bed and she's putting up the flowers, and you can see the range of emotions that are going through her. You can see how her decisions are starting to really eat her from the inside. Now remember, after she sleeps with him and they have an argument, and Paul, I think they've actually broken up. Paul leaves, she goes and sets the alarm, and after setting the alarm, Fumi's mom comes out of the darkness, and changes the alarm so that it doesn't come on or something. And now I get the impression that she saw Paul and Amy having sex, so she knows what Amy is up to. But then something else happens, because now the twist and turns, something else happens. Fumi, by now we've discovered that she's having financial problems. Yes, she's having financial problems, and she actually needs to get artworks. And apart from that, we get to know that she has a very poor social life. She doesn't have a lot of people around her. Many people are not picking her call. But we also now get to discover that she needs money in a way. So she decides to creep into Amy's house and steal a few artworks so that she can improve her situation. But then what happens? Bob and Michael, since the mission was called off, decide to come to break into the house at that particular time, at night. So what happens? Something happens. Gunshots are fired, someone falls off the stairs, and I think she might be dead. Yeah, that's twist and turns. I think she might be dead. That's where the episode ends. So Fumi, George's mom, is out of this. And since she's and since she might have seen Paul, then everything is just everywhere. Everything has just become so complicated. Now, all that aside, there's Naomi. You remember Naomi? Naomi is Amy's friend. Amy's friend, who is more of a family friend, who has been suspecting Amy of being a part of that, the road rage viral clip. You remember her, right? So now, she had called Amy to ask her to write for her a recommendation letter because she was nominated for, I don't know, something Calabash magazine, something celebrity something. And guess what Amy does? Amy hangs up on her. So we see Naomi's state of mind. We see the kind of person Naomi is, because there's a point that she's changing her wardrobe and you get to see there's something wrong about her. There's something wrong about this individual, because okay, picture this. There's the bag that is used to put clothes in. She takes the bag, gets into the bag, and opens the phone to look at something. This is something that children usually do, which is hide in a small dark space in order to do something, making a space smaller. So now we get to see that weird part of her, that area of her life that looks dysfunctional in a way. And then after that, now she decides now to start investigating. One is by going to the owner of the lawn that was destroyed by Danny's car, by the incident, and she starts asking questions and she starts trying to find out more about the particular incident, and that just leads into something else, because now she has really closed in onto Amy, and she thinks that, and she's kind of like sure, and there are kind of one or two evidences that Amy was a part of that particular involvement. So now we have a very, wow, this was so many things happen in this particular episode that I don't know how to summarize it. But the one thing that I noticed about the episode, it feels like it was directed by the same person who directed it. It has the same DNA with episode 3. It has the same flow and the same editing style as episode 3. I didn't have a problem with it. I obviously had a problem with the final rock song, the rock pop song. I've had that with all the episodes. So generally this was a very, very intense episode. This was a lot of things were revealed. And now Isaac has totally come out. Isaac is not a good person. Isaac looks dysfunctional, and it looks like he might become the overall antagonist because of what they've set up in this particular episode. Bob and Michael look very interesting. They're the most comedic part of this episode and the most comedic part of this show. Based on what they've established, these two characters may end up becoming some they're a welcome introduction. In a world where everything was flipping and turning every corner, they were really, really welcomed. In terms of development, I think I would call this the side character episode, because they were able to expand and give us a bit more about all these other side characters that we never got a chance to see in the first 4 episodes, especially George, Naomi, and Isaac. So yeah, that's it. That's my review of episode 5. See you on episode 6.